Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Sagittarius March 2022 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, first thing up is, well, as far as March goes, the Sun will be in Pisces from the 1st until the 20th. So the 4th house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time, there could be a strong focus and attention on sacrificing, showing compassion, forgiveness. It could be toward family members, people you're close to home, like the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. In some cases, you might be experiencing something Pisces related in general in the home. Could be like a gas or chemical leak in some isolated cases, and that might be giving you some attention. You might be putting some attention on that at this time. But another way that this can manifest, keep in mind that the Sun is also associated with the biological father and children, and these people may be figuring more prominently in your home life, and really maybe with people you're close to home with, or it could be helping you get in touch with roots and traditions at this time. You may be very strongly driven and motivated toward Piscean roots and traditions at this time. It could be doing something with poetry, or it could be associated with dancing or the metaphysical, which includes astrology, photography, anything that is connected with Pisces. It could be going to some place that that was rumored to have ghosts in it. I mean, Pisces is connected with the paranormal. But anyway, next thing, as far as March goes, the Sun will be in Aries from the 20th until the 31st. So at this time for Sagittarius, the 5th house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, this could be a time, Sagittarius, where you might be putting a lot of focus and attention. It could be on combative children and lovers. It might be ones that are acrimonious or ones that are very aggressive. And the positive side could be pioneering as well. But it could also be a time to where you may be very driven and motivated toward enthusiastically pursuing hobbies and games. There may be more of a focus on, it could be on violent sports like football, or something with karate, like a combat sport like karate or judo, boxing, wrestling, as some examples. And it's also in some cases too, remember that the Sun can shine the light on things, so to speak. So it could shine the light again on a rambunctious child or lover, no pun intended, of course. But I gotta say, it can be a child again that could be very aggressive or unruly or combative, or a lover as well. But also too, you might be very driven and motivated. It could be toward showing a lot of initiative. It could be drive, well, just I should say driven and motivated toward aggressively maybe pursuing investments or things of speculation, and doing so with little hesitation and procrastination. But just make sure that you don't do anything too impulsive as far as investments go, and make sure you know what you're getting into, because Aries energy can act very quickly and not always see all the fine print things because of that. Now, next thing up. Well, there's going to be a new moon in Pisces on March 2nd, so the 4th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, Sagittarius, you might be, this could be the start of doing something Pisces related, out of the home. It could be doing something, dancing or photography or poetry, or something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. You might begin, it could be a beginning point of showing forgiveness, compassion, altruism, sacrifice with home family members at this time, or even a beginning of starting to get ready for the latter part of life, starting to plan with idealism if you are not already or currently in that latter part of life at this time. And also a new period where maybe you want to express some qualities you may have at the core, especially if Pisces is on your fourth house cusp in your natal chart. And those qualities can include compassion, being altruistic, forgiving, knowing when to surrender. It could be idealism as well, um, in showing more of a passive side. Um, so those are some, but at the same time, I mean, this transit can also be a time where you may, it could be the start of Piscean traditions that maybe the family had going back to your roots and ancestry, and some traditions that may have been connected with it. And again, it could be something, it could be photography or dancing or poetry or the metaphysical, which does include astrology, or even something with the paranormal, even in some cases. So, or doing something with illusions such as magic tricks. Now the next thing up, well, there's going to be a full moon in Virgo on March 18th. So the 10th house as well will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, in some cases, Sagittarius, this could be the ending or completion or culmination of a Virgo career. Maybe something with analytics or statistics or diet or nutrition field, or something with detailing, something where you were very punctilious with details, and or it could be like professional cleaning or organization. Now, full moons can also be about when one becomes tired, full, or exasperated at something, when you've had enough of something. This could be a time where it could even be a judgmental or critical or overly cynical or pedantic. It could be the dominant parent, which is often the father, an authority figure. It could be a superior or even an older person that might be overly critical, judgmental as well. This could also be a time too. I mean, remember that the full moons can also be about unveilings and revelations. So in some cases, this could be the unveiling or revelation, perhaps, of being able to do something Virgo related in a career, like what I talked about before in some examples, like being a statistician or working in a diet or health or nutrition field, or you could even be extrapolating data, anything with analysis, or it could be something where where revelation or unveiling comes out. It could be of a 10th house related person that might be somebody that might be overly maybe a hypochondriac or germophobic. I don't know if those words apply now, but you understand what I'm actually saying, and or somebody that's overly worrisome or again critical or judgmental, and that might be unveiled or revealed at this time. Now the next thing up, well, Mercury is going to be in Aquarius as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 10th. So the third house will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius. So at this time, Sagittarius, you might find yourself really, it could be communicating about your future in terms of maybe short journeys, or you're communicating about your future, your goals, your aspirations with siblings, cousins, neighbors. It could even be talking about Aquarius related things with these people, such as astrology or computers, the internet, astronomy, aviation, meteorology, innovative items as some examples. It could also be a time to remember that Mercury is connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, and these people may be Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply one that embody Aquarius characteristics. And these people may be more, prominent. It could be in your general communications. It could be maybe with matters with people that were prominent, your early education or your short journeys. Maybe these people are playing more of an active role in errands you may be running, as an example. And it could also be a time too where you may be doing some, Mercury is about analysis, and it might be something like diagnostic, or something with electronic, or something with the computers with your car, if it's connected, like if you have a car, say it's connected to the internet, or if you have some kind of electrical situation going on with it. because Aquarius does rule electricity. If there's something with your vehicle, third house is connected with short journeys. This is where you might put a lot of analysis into it, more so than usual. Now the next thing up. Well, Mercury is going to be in Pisces as far as March goes from the 1st until the 27th, so the 4th house will be emphasized and highlighted. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. So at this time, you may be having some could be cryptic and ambiguous communications with home and family members, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, people you're close to home with. You may also be at this time as well. You may be talking about Pisces related things with these people as well. It could be paranormal, if you believe that, metaphysical, which includes astrology, poetry, dancing, photography, as some examples, and spirituality even. This could be a time which could be auspicious for spiritual discussions with these people, even people you're close to home with. It could also be a time for you, Sagittarius. Keep in mind that Mercury is also connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. These may be Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Piscean traits. And these people may figure more prominently, in your traditions at this time, and getting in touch with your roots and your ancestry. And you may also be, communicating about, who you are, believe you are at the core, and it could be Pisces related, Pisces traits such as being altruistic or forgiving, passive, even somewhat, vague or nebulous or unclear, maybe even gullible at times. But this would be especially true if you do have Pisces on the 4th house cusp in your natal chart. Now anyway, well, next thing up, Mercury will be in Aries as far as March goes from the 27th until the 31st, so the 5th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time, Sagittarius, you might find yourself having very direct and outspoken communications, with lovers, with children. It could also be a time where you're thinking maybe more pioneering, and you may be expressing that maybe through something creative, or it could be expressing that again with lovers and children. And keep in mind, though, your mind may be very, at this time, you might thinking maybe impulsive, or maybe impulsive decisions being made in connection with investment and speculation. So be careful regarding this. It's good to act, try to act quickly and not procrastinate, but not to the point where you may overlook some details and do something impulsively, say without checking into the company thoroughly that you may be investing in. It could also be a time for you to remember to keep in mind that Mercury is also connected with siblings, with cousins and neighbors, and these people may be Aries, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Aries characteristics. They may be figuring more prominently in your fun, your amusement, your enjoyment at this time. And also too, this is also a time where you might be thinking more about doing something Aries related. It could be as a hobby or some sports venture. It could be doing something with football, as an example. It's a violent sport. It's something Aries related, I would say, or a combat sport like wrestling, or boxing or judo, or even playing a fantasy game at this time, or not a fantasy game, I should say, like an Aries type of game, like a war game, like a board game, like Axis and Allies. This would be an example. Anyway, if that does exist still. But I want to say the next thing up. Well, Venus is going to be in Capricorn as far as March goes from the 1st until the 6th. So at this time, the 2nd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, Sagittarius, it could be a time for you where it could be very auspicious for money. Venus is about money. 2nd house is as well. It could be about a lot of financial planning at this time. Capricorn is very premeditative energy. It's very methodical, and it likes to plan ahead. It might be a time where it could be a time to make money in doing something Capricorn related, which you may value. It could be doing something, with accounting or dentistry or masonry, something with the government or politics or information technology as some examples. It's also about valuing at this time structure, discipline, consistency, being responsible for in monetary matters for your possessions. And it's also a time too where these these values may be tied in, to your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself. Um, and it's also a time too where, Venus is also about relationships. So if you're unattached at this time, Sagittarius, you may connect with a Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or one that simply embodies those traits. And the person might be beneficial to you monetarily, or it could be somebody that really helps you with your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself. It may be an older person, very mature, someone responsible, or career oriented. So anyway, well, next thing up. Well, Venus is going to be in Aquarius as far as March goes, from the 6th until the 31st. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, Sagittarius, you might find yourself valuing communication regarding your future, um, or valuing innovative and ingenious thinking. Could be another way it could manifest. And again, if you are unattached at this time, Sagittarius, you may connect with an Aquarius Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies those characteristics. And someone might be prominent in your short journeys, your communications, maybe even someone you knew from your early education, such as a classmate. Um, could also be a time where you may be valuing your future more so than usual, and you will be more apt to talk about it at this time. And also, too, I would say the fact that the third house is about rational thinking. It's more about valuing that at this point in time as well, and really regarding the future. As well, could be your future rational thinking, and being, if you were somewhat irrational you're thinking previously, this could be a time where you're thinking more about your future and valuing thinking more rationally in it at this time. And it could also be a time for you, Sagittarius, where keep in mind that Venus is also about connected with our self-worth, our self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself. And it's in the fact that Aquarius, is connected with altruism and selflessness. This could be a time where those things will impact it, and it will be things that you may. In fact, it's in the third house. You may share this through your writings and your communications at this point in time as well. And it could be about the enjoyment of Aquarius related things with siblings, cousins, neighbors, whether it's computers, electronics, astrology, astronomy, as some examples. Now, next thing up. Well, Mars will be in Capricorn as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 6th. So the second house is what we emphasize and highlight. Now, at this time, Sagittarius, it could be a time where you may become a little bit angrier or acrimonious. It could be over your possessions, your money, if someone's taking it. So yes, help themselves to these things without asking. This is a time where you may be more agitated at that than usual. It could be a time where you're actually, but at the same time, remember that Mars and Capricorn could be very disciplined energy, and it might be showing some disciplined energy in spending at this time, and also spending, very planned spending on matters right now. And it can also be a time too where it could also be about expending a lot of energy and vitality on a Capricorn money-making venture. It could be something connected with dentistry or accounting or information technology, masonry, even general mundane work at this time. And at the same time as well, Mars, remember, is about accidents and injuries. So, your place where you're making money at this time, just be careful that, as far as possible injuries, to the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings at this point in time. There could be a greater propensity for that than usual at your place where you are generating your money at, and it's a time to where it's also about Mars related things you could value at this time. Your energy, at this time it could be discipline energy that could be valued, courage, fortitude, um, knowing when to hold back. Again, Capricorn is discipline energy. And anyway, next thing up, Mars will be in Aquarius as far as March goes from the 6th until the 31st. So the third house as well will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time for you Sagittarius, now the situation with could be siblings, cousins, and neighbors may be more contentious and even acrimonious than usual. There might be unpredictable outbursts of anger. Your energy level may be very sporadic and erratic in matters, with your communications, your writings. It could be in matters with short journeys or activities with siblings or cousins or neighbors. It could be a time too where you may be more outspoken in directing your communications at this time, more so than usual. It might be a time where it could be harder to just have a simple constructive disagreement. It's important to remember that one can disagree without being disputatious. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, and there might be arguments over matters with the future or goals or aspirations with third house people, or even ones connected with astrology in some cases, or so with computers or electronics, anything that's Aquarius related. And you might be putting a lot of vitality and energy. Could be into very spontaneous or unexpected short journeys or even writings at this time. Now next up, well, Jupiter is going to be in Pisces for the entirety of March 2022. So at this time, the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, Sagittarius, well, this could be a fortuitous time for matters with your home, your family, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, and people you're close to home with. You may these could be Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or ones that simply embody those traits. You might find yourself at this time being very exuberant and enthusiastic regarding Pisces traditions. That could be connected again with photography or poetry or dancing, or the metaphysical, which includes astrology or the paranormal as some examples. But as I've talked about previously, that Jupiter still is very paradoxical. It could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. Now, in some cases, it can enlarge and expand deception, duplicity among family members, people you're close to home with, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. It might also really enlarge as well, things that are just nebulous or unclear in the home at this time, or even chaos in the home life. You're going to have a lot of Pisces energy, impacting the fourth house at this time and emphasizing that fourth house during this month. And the thing about it too is it could, at this time as well, the qualities. Fourth house is about who you are at the core, so it could also enlarge those qualities as well, whether it could be being more forgiving, more passive, altruistic, sacrificing, compassionate, but yet even gullible and impressionable as well, perhaps. So anyway, next thing up. Well, Saturn is still going to be in Aquarius and will be for the entire month of March 2022. So at this time, the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So it can be a time for you, Sagittarius, where your communications may be restricted and limited at this time to some degree. You might find yourself expressing more responsibility towards siblings, cousins, neighbors, people that may have been prominent in your early education. You may be doing so very selflessly, very altruistically at this time. It could even be taking care of a sickly or debilitated sibling, cousin, or neighbor. Maybe there's something Aquarius related with these people, such as the shins, the calves, um, the nerves at this time, the lower legs. Uh, it can also be a time too where Saturn and Aquarius collectively, as far as how it's impacting people in a generational sense, I think it's could be manifesting in just general restriction and inhibition connected with society because of the COVID-19 being at least somewhat prevalent at this time. And what it is, I think, for Sagittarius, it might be affecting their communications more so than most people for whatever reason, or just their general, their short journeys at this time, and even interactions with their siblings, their cousins, and neighbors as well. But remember, Saturn is also the sad planet. It's about sorrow, so it's guard against being overly, depressive or negative, regarding your future at this time. Remember, the third house is the rational mind, so it could be where you might be more despondent and dejected more so than usual at this time. Now, the next thing up. Well, Uranus will still be in Taurus, so the sixth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Uranus will be in Taurus for the entirety of March 2022. So this can manifest in a number of ways for you, Sagittarius. It could be where your daily routine may be erratic and sporadic. You may be doing something Uranus related. As far as your work and employment goes, it could be doing something with astrology or the internet, computers, electronics, innovation, something with aviation or meteorology. It could also be in some cases where there could be something, spastic activity, something very intermittent going on. It could be by the throat or the neck area, because the sixth house is the house of physical health and astrology. Could even be Uranus related issues, something with the ankles or the shins or the calves or nerves, or even an unusual protrusion or growth in the neck or throat area at this time, or something happens very unexpectedly with the esophagus even, or thyroid, because that's associated with Taurus as well. And maybe a time too where you might even be seeing genius behavior, which you perceive as genius behavior with pets, if you do have any. And it could be at this time as well that if you're working, placing your subordinate role, fellow employees, you may be acting more unusual or very unpredictable at this time. And it could also be too where financial fluctuations, might be, impacting you as far as your employment goes. If something happens, say, unexpectedly, they start dropping your hours, say, it could be something where you might wind up changing the job as a result, or you could just be experiencing those financial fluctuations at your current place of employment. If they keep changing the schedule, give you more hours one week and then less the next, so on and so forth. Well, next thing up, Neptune is still going to be in Capricorn. Neptune is still going to be in Pisces, so the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, you might find yourself, the home family members may be more nebulous or unclear than usual. There could be more deception going on with these people, but it's also a time where you could be expressing a lot of forgiveness, compassion, sacrifice, altruism with these people as well. But home family members, people you're close to home with, less dominant parent, which is often the mother, these people may be somewhat nebulous or unclear at this time. In some cases too, this could even indicate the dissolving or dissipation of one's home life. But another thing too is be careful, because there could be a greater propensity for flooding in the home, or a gas or chemical leak at this time in your home. It could also be a time too where you might express some Piscean related things out of the home, or they may be expressed through traditions. It could be doing something with poetry or dancing or photography, or something with special effects maybe, or something with illusion, I should say, like doing something as a magician, or even something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. So those are some ways this could be expressed at this time, and it might be a time to remember that Neptune Pisces energy can have a tendency to gloss over the details. So it could be a time where you might deliberately do that and overlook family members' transgressions, or maybe you're just not seeing them for who they are. So be careful at this time. Last but not least, Pluto will still be in Capricorn, so the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Will be in Capricorn for the entire month of March 2022. Now, in some cases, sadly, this may indicate some kind of destruction or obliteration of one's self-worth. But remember that Pluto is about rebirth and regeneration. So it's something that you feel that it may be gone at one time, but it can come right back if you may resurrect it, so to speak, as well. And it might be a time where you have more desire and passion in generating money at this time and accumulating your possessions, and also trying to improve your self-worth. At this time, Pluto is about transformation. It could be working out vigorously, trying to transform your own body, as an example. Yes, the second house is not connected with the physical body, but Pluto is connected with transformation, and I would think that could include doing something physically where you might transform yourself in order to have greater self-worth, self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself at this time. Now, in some cases, too, it could also manifest in Plutonian-related, income ventures, money-making ventures. It could be doing something, with the occult, which includes astrology, or something with recycling, insurance, taxes, transformation. It could be rebuilding engines, doing some. It could be working in a death profession, such as working as a mortician, or coroner, or funeral director, even surgery. In some cases, Pluto has a connection with surgery, and it might be a time too where you might be making, at this time there might be power struggles with others. It could be even over your own money for whatever reason. Maybe somebody claiming that it doesn't belong to you, or over your possessions as well. At this time, I could say that again. Anyway, people. That'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.